Let's all settle back down. And as we do that, I want to throw out a question, all right? You ready? What do you think is equity? It can mean many things. It can mean different things, as a matter of fact. It can be completely subjective in different contexts. But here at the forum today, let me tell you, we're going to talk about the principles of fairness and justice that recognizes the different needs of people. So equity isn't just a buzzword. It is a powerful catalyst for positive change. By embracing equity, we break down barriers, level the playing field, and create a world where everyone has an equal opportunity to thrive. All right, let that sink in, let that marinate. Everyone has an equal opportunity to thrive. So joining us now to flesh this out, or to give more context to what we're talking about, is Al Jazeera English journalist Veronica Pedrosa, in a roundtable discussion, which we have set up here, to have a look at how embracing equity can become the driving force to shape a better world for all. So please help me welcome her, Veronica Pedrosa, as she begins our roundtable discussion. Needing a mic? Okay.
Hello everyone, I'm Veronica Pedrosa. Thank you very much for the generous introduction. So I am a journalist and as such have worked for Al Jazeera for 10 years, more than 10 years, previously with CNN, previously with the BBC, and I have worked in very difficult circumstances. And what I can say is that women are so important to the resilience of any community, any family, any society. I've seen really terrible things happen to women and to whole societies in terms of natural disasters, conflicts, etc. And women are absolutely the backbone. I often see it actually. If the women feel that they are not as empowered, what happens is the whole family doesn't know what to do. So I can honestly say that this is what I have seen, how important community and society's resilience is, especially in this day and age when in the last week or so we've seen 2 wars break out, Nagorno-Karabakh, Sudan, then we've seen these terrible disasters in Morocco and Libya. I come originally from the Philippines, so I grew up in the UK, and we love our disasters too. And I can honestly say that I've been to a couple of terrible disasters there, and there's a real community spirit that is brought out in the very grassroots, that we rely on each other as neighbors, as family members, and often women to women, we can rely on each other if we are empowered to do so. It's an honor to be here. The topic is about change makers, and I'm very happy to introduce 3 change makers here to the studio. Excuse me, I'm used to being in TV, not to the studio, to the stage. Okay, may I introduce, please, our 3, if you would come up onto the stage. Nada Zaidan, Al-Jawhara Al-Thani, and Dr. Alan Villegas Mateos. You need your mics as well. Are there extra mics for them, please? Thank you. Please take a seat. So nice to see you. We've only had a Zoom call to prepare for this, so it's wonderful to actually meet everybody in person and to be inspired by you. We have such a short time, we only have 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is ask them one question for all of them, like a broad question, and then ask them one question each that is specifically geared towards their experience. But first let me introduce everybody. Shall I go one by one as I ask you the questions, or everyone? Let me do everyone first. The question is how embracing equity can help change the world. Nada Zaidan, right here on my immediate left, is an international Arab sporting icon. I'm sure lots of people here recognize you. The founder of NZ Sports Academy, professional archery club, and she's been passionate about athletics all her life, and has established the first female Arab rally driver. She is also the first highly skilled archer in the Arab region and has competed in championships for both sports. Al-Jawhar, maybe you could turn them off for the time being. Okay, is a historian who is passionate about creating a stronger community amongst Qatari women by documenting their stories on her website, Women of Qatar. And Dr. Alan Villegas Mateos is a senior research fellow at HEC Paris in Qatar. He spent his free time mentoring at different international incubators, and all of them will tell you more about their experiences, I'm sure. So my first question to all is, we've been talking about women's empowerment. Do you think, in your experience, how has embracing equity benefited not only women, but everyone? Maybe you have examples that you can tell us of how, gender equity initiatives have led to positive changes across society. Would you like to start, Nada?
Hello, everybody. This is a good question, and usually the equal, it will be good for both the women and the society. Especially, as we know, the woman is half of this society. And of course, when she will be in a different domain with the man, she will improve a lot of things, and she will achieve a lot of things also from the personal aspect.
And in your experience, what have been specific steps that have helped women to gain more power? Like we were talking a bit earlier, Kayoko was talking about women want to have leadership, they want to have models. Is that something that you have seen that people have, that you, even yourself, as a model, in a leadership role, have inspired other women?
Always I said, my time is different than this time. Okay, what I face, of course, in that time, and especially with the domain I chose that time, it was mainly for the man, and that time it was too hard. Okay, we are the one who open or we break these barriers. But now for this new generation, and especially with the full support from our government, I think the women now, it's easy for them to achieve what they want. And also, the language, what we need to talk with the new generation is totally different than my time. Especially now, we know how important the social media for the new generation. And this is what we need to focus in. And also, we need to find really role model for the new generation to follow them. Okay, now me, okay, in the sport, but of course, there is from the new generation, they are better than me. We need really, this is the issue what I face in my time, that the media, they are not caring about the woman that time. I'm lucky, but I'm saying the truth. Now the social media, it helps, but this is what we need to...
Because women are representing themselves.
Themselves, exactly, exactly.
No, wonderful. Thank you very much. I feel a bit of responsibility because I've been working in media through all those years. So, yeah, I try. I have to say that I do specifically seek out women in many of the stories that I do, but it's actually quite hard. So the women who are here in this room, I reach out to you and say, please, it is inspiring for younger women, for other women around the world, to see women publicly doing the thing that they do. Whatever it is that you do, it's okay to do it publicly. For example, in Al Jazeera, I book interviews, and I did a breakdown, and I found out that we have a ratio of 3 men to every woman that we interview. 3 to 1. And that's because sometimes you ring and you say, can I have an interview with you? And often women are busy. They say things like, I've got my son, I've got my this, that, and the other, but the men are like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Al-Jahara, what are your thoughts? Have you seen gender equity initiatives that have helped women?
This is on?
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I have. I think it's very nice that we talk about equity rather than equality. Because equality has been a term that we talked about for so long.
You can bring the mic a bit closer to you.
Oh, here? It's better? We talked about equality for so long, and we can identify things that make men and women not equal. We can see those things. But equity is much harder to achieve because it's about fairness. And we can all tell that women, for example, need much more support than men to gain equity. And we have to ask ourselves, what does it look like to have an equitable society? In all angles, it doesn't have to be gender-based, for example. But that would require much bigger effort and a much bigger support because women face way more obstacles.
And it's different according to the culture or the society that you're in.
Yeah.
I mean, as a Qatari woman, have you thought about, you must have thought about this, what does that look like in Qatari context?
Yeah, so what I deal with mainly is grassroots, as you've mentioned. To me, that's the way I approach things. And to me, creating visibility of Qatari women who are in leadership positions is my way of contributing to this, because I identified that the lack of visibility creates a major gap, and it concludes in young Qatari women, young Qatari girls as well, not believing that they can reach these leadership positions because they don't see themselves. But once you see these women, like you said, in interviews, or if you see their photos in a newspaper, or just having more visibility in general, yeah.
Driving cars, doing archery.
Yeah, so if you see them in all the fields, any fields, they can be more motivated to believe that they are able to achieve this goal.
So it's top down, but also bottom up?
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Right.
But policymakers need to really gather around to think about what they can do to make this possible. But for me, I feel like as a community, when there's more awareness and there's more acceptability, when people accept the idea that a woman is a leader, then it becomes much easier. But when you don't see it and it's invisible, it becomes much harder to believe that they can achieve these roles.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
How about you, Doctor? Have you seen gender equity? I mean, you work in the space of entrepreneurship, of startups. Have you seen more women, less women involved in the kind of projects that you've been dealing with?
Yeah, thank you. First, I think that equity, as the presenter was saying, goes beyond just gender. I think there's different types of inequality. There's racism, discrimination, so there's different types. But I understand we're speaking about gender today because it's the Doha Women Forum. So in the field of entrepreneurship, a lot of people, I don't know everyone, but I took 2 years of full research to publish a book last year that it's about Qatar's entrepreneurial ecosystem. So it took me 2 years to write it because I was interviewing people, collecting data and all that. But one interesting fact that I realized that happens here specifically is that there are more companies registered by women than by men in the state of Qatar. This is interesting because there's also different types of businesses that they are doing.
What are we talking about, 50-50, sorry, 60-40 or 70-30?
I don't have right now the fact, but it's about 60-40 maybe. The problem is that women are doing home-based businesses, coffee shops, beauty, spas, salons. So then there is an issue about innovation and how to build also businesses that go beyond borders to scale and actually contribute also producing jobs, hiring more people, and achieve economic growth. So the problem is that most of these women also like to hire women, but there are small businesses, so there's a limit. You can only hire 5-10 people per spa, per salon, and all that. But I realized there's also women in some startups, tech businesses. I saw one around here that it's a co-founder of a startup called Urban Point. Susanna is somewhere there. I think she's one of the interesting startups that are happening in Qatar.
Did you ever find out why women don't want to do bigger things, or they want to do things that aren't necessarily, they just want to have something that, is it about control, is it about confidence?
So the thing is that it's not that they don't want. is that there's a lot of cultural constraints as well, because of the religion, because of the Arabic culture, or whatever we call it. Women, and this is, I hope I don't say something wrong, but I spent some time researching what's happening, and I did a study with some professors from HBKU, Hamad bin Khalifa University, and we found out that the culture has an influence because there are family traditions that you need to follow up, because you're a woman, you cannot start a business without the permission or the consent of your family to involve into a business activity. You cannot travel outside to do business just by yourself.
Doctor, you're getting a bit controversial. I don't know whether, Al-Jahara, you want to answer that as a Qatari woman yourself.
Yeah, that would be better, to be honest.
Well, he was talking about how there are religious and cultural constraints, possibly.
Is this on? Yeah. I think they just find profit in spas and home services. They're blossoming. And even if you look at men, they don't tend to steer out of the typical business model. You know, there's no innovation there as well. I think it speaks more about the market, the Qatari market, rather than cultural restraints. I mean, what part of my culture says, you know, get a manicure or pedicure? It hasn't existed. It's a new thing that they do. But I agree, there are some certain restraints for sure, but I think generally with businesses, they tend to see something flourish and think that, oh, if I take a hand in the same business, then I'll flourish as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's like some barriers have been broken, but there are more that can be built on. All right, you know what I'm going to do is going to ask a question to each of you, with your permission. I have 10 minutes left, apparently, so I just want you to be aware of that, if you don't mind. Nada, hang on a second, where's my question? Here. You're an advocate for gender equality in sports. What do you think needs to be done in the future to keep up the momentum that your generation started? How can you build on it to inspire more women to keep going and entering sports and generally in society?
First of all, of course, we need to work to make these women to be believe in themselves, to be confident, and to do what they want to do it. In my sport, of course, now I opened this academic to educate the new generation about the archery, and especially now, 2030, the Asian game, it will come to Qatar again. Of course, I present Qatar in 2006 and in 2002 in this sport, but a lot of people, they don't know about this sport. Just they know archery, but they didn't try archery. Now I'm trying in my academic to encourage the new generation at least to know this sport. And later on, maybe after 4 or 5 years, we'll find maybe one champion and we'll present the country.
I want to ask, even when people do sports and they're confident to do sports, does it help them be confident and empowered in other parts of their life?
Of course, and especially my sport. Always I said the archery, any archery shooter, if you'll see even their personality, they are more confident. For any type of sport, really, you will see.
That's amazing. It must be so rewarding for you to see that. Amazing. Sorry, Al-Jahara, I have to look at my notes again. Because I know that I wanted to ask you, what are the key challenges or obstacles that you think people faced in getting to leadership roles? We heard from Kayoko about very practical things like childcare systems, mentor programs. Are these the kind of things that you found are important? Can you tell us a bit about about the women of Qatar and the work that you do and how that's helped?
Yeah, so if you visit my website, Women of Qatar, you'll find over 50 interviews with Qatari women who speak about their journey and the obstacles that they face. And many of them talked about leadership and how that was an issue and that they couldn't attain certain positions due to being a woman. Mainly, this was the women who are in STEM. So people who work in petroleum or engineering, they have suffered the most. because they tend to be, isolated from the male community that happens in the workplace. And they'll find that the boss, for example, will be socializing with other workers outside of work hours because they tend to be friends with them, whereas the woman can't do that beyond the workspace. So she feels left out, and then she loses opportunities to get ahead in the field because the manager or the boss at this point is closer to the male colleagues than he is to the female colleagues, because they tend to end the day at work. So if you go to the website, you'll see them talk about these obstacles. Some of them don't have any obstacles, and they share why they didn't face any. And that tends to happen due to family support, their husband support. In general, they feel uplifted by the community around them, and thus they can achieve leadership positions and don't face any challenges, actually.
Does that resonate with you, Nada? Is that what happened to you? Did you need the support of your community and your family?
Yes, of course. That time, in the beginning, it was really hard. And if I will tell you this, you will not believe. In the beginning, my family, they was supporting me. Then, because of the society, they not accept, and they are blaming my father. How you allowed your daughter to be with the man in their domain, and this is its effect. Even my mom, one time she told me, you need to care about the society and what they are saying. But because I believe what I'm doing is the right things, I don't care about anybody. And now I'm so proud that I reached this level. And now a lot of people, even a friend of me who was refusing what I was doing that time, they told me, Nada, you was in the right way.
Oh, can we just give her a quick round? Yes, thank you. I wonder if that's something that we can take away from this session. We'll go on in a minute. If there's a woman in your life, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, that you think could do with a little bit of support, maybe that's something that we can think about. What would that look like? All right. What's our next question, to Alan? I have to look at my question again because I don't want to surprise you with a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem can contribute to greater equity. Is that something that you agree with? What does a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem look like that can encourage more women to participate?
Yeah, so an ecosystem is a set of different conditions that need to be in place to actually create a good environment to produce new companies, or either new companies or the established companies to grow. So there are different things, but speaking about how this is related with women and equity. And another interesting fact is that women in Qatar are very highly educated, actually. They got PhDs, masters. That's their thing. So I think that there has to be also a mechanism to help them produce businesses, ideas with the proper amount of support that can involve funding, mentorship, and the regulation also has to be in place. So it's a mix of different things that need to happen.
So it's like you've got your degree, you've got your master's, you've got your PhD, now what?
Exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah. It has to be also a job market after studying what you will do with all that, right? So because of the size of Qatar, sometimes it's difficult to actually find a position for a PhD in artificial intelligence or something like that, right? So and it's in the Qatar national vision that through entrepreneurship, you can also create new opportunities because you create companies that create jobs that at the end producing economic diversification, right? Yeah. So it's a cycle, and I think that women actually in Qatar has a very important role that can be done in that area.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt, 100%. Before we wrap it up, it says time's up. Is it all right if before I ask the last question to everybody, is there anyone here who would like to talk about what kind of whether any of this resonated with them. I just want to make sure that we're not talking at you and that you're part of the conversation as well. Does anyone want to weigh in? Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you want to talk about things that helped you achieve your dream in business. We've heard so many amazing stories from the keynote speakers and from here. Shall I just pick someone arbitrarily? Just to be mean. Do you want? I've been sitting next to Madia this morning. Do you have a microphone, Madia? Oh, Kayuk. Oh, here's a lady. Here's a lady. Sorry, Madia, and then the lady, and then we'll wrap it up. Is that all right? Oh no, Madia. Okay, sure. Thank you very much. Apparently, we have all the mics on the stage. Yeah, you do. Sorry.
Sound.
Would you like to introduce yourself? Thank you.
Very good afternoon to everyone. I'm Banish Saeed, and I'm a sociologist by profession. I've just recently shifted to Qatar because of my husband's job, and so I was a university lecturer at my home. And now, because I'm here, and it's like being, again, searching for a job at a new level. But because I couldn't get it recently, so I started my baking business as an entrepreneurship because it was my hobby. And I'm earning more now because of my hobby than because of my professional studies that I did at back home. So it is resonating the both. At times you see that you are your own boss. It feels good, but still when you see to yourself that you have studied so much, heavy books and such a burden on your shoulders that you are specialized in your subject, and you have been very good at it, being the top of your university, and not getting the right job at the same point, that, that disappoints you. And then you go back to your hobbies and stuff, and it becomes entrepreneurship. So it is, back and forth. It's like that.
Thank you very much. I think everybody's going to have their individual story about the kind of cycle of fortune. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Our time is up, so let me ask you for a brief thought about the title, Changemakers, and how gender equity can affect society as a whole. Do you have any thoughts about, do you want to start, Alan? We'll go this way round at this time. How embracing equity can help change the world.
Yes. So I think that it's a very powerful statement, actually, how to embrace equity.
Yes.
It's not a one person's job. It's actually a community work. So either if you are in a management position, if you are a policy maker, you are an academic, you have also a role in the community. And you also have to be thinking that in your position, how can you do something? If you have a position where you can hire people, maybe you can also try to find out women instead of men, or having equal salaries and all benefits and all that. So it comes to everyone needs to be part of this to actually embrace change.
Thanks very much. Al-Jawhara?
I think it's such a big question to ask.
It's too big, isn't it?
It's very big.
From your experience.
From my experience, I think leadership, people in leadership positions need to step up. I think they have a great potential in making this change and achieving equity, whether it's with gender or any other type of equity.
Thank you very much. Finally, Nada.
I'm with all this point, but also I think we need also, again, to educate our
education.
Education is important, and if we compare now and before, I will say in Qatar Foundation really making a lot of change of mentality for the new generation, and this is also an important point to educate our kids and our family about the equality.
Thank you very much indeed to all our panelists. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the discussion. I would leave with one point. When we say how embracing equity can help shape the world, can you imagine a world like, what would your life look like without women in it? What differences do the women make? I have a son. He's now 24, but I remember when he was 9, he said to me, "Mama, it's amazing. I really admire you because you do all your work and then you come home and you do all this as well." So, can you imagine if the women that you see around you in your life, what if they were not around? So I'm just going to leave you with that thought. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys.